All right, we are live here with Cali Yost. Cali is a long-term friend and champion of flex and remote work. She is internationally recognized as a flex work strategist and futurist. She's the founder and CEO of Flex+Strategy Group, which helps leaders unlock performance and engagement by really thinking differently about how, when, and where work gets done. Her work is rooted in research and is really focused on how people can manage their jobs and their lives together. And she's actually published 2 books on this topic and has spent 2 decades of her life dedicated to this sort of cause. So Cali is a kindred spirit, so welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Emily, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, so we met many years ago because we're both really advocates for flex and remote work. And I think as a country, what we've just gone through has really forced everyone's hand as a way to have to reimagine how work is getting done. So I know that is really exciting to us to see, but we also know, what we're experiencing right now is not normal in terms of how remote work gets done. So I know you have some perspectives to share around, in your op-ed piece for USA Today, you talked about how flex work will save the economy. So what are your thoughts about what's going on and what are you seeing for flex work?
So what I'm seeing is that a lot of organizations and people were thrown into what I call the flexible and remote work deep end and just went right into pilot and didn't have any preparation. Obviously all the work we do is with organizations that want to do this in sort of a thoughtful, optimal way where they're sort of working through the process. And a lot of people didn't have that. Now, the good news in that is it did allow 80 million people who switched over to remote work to be able to continue to do their jobs and keep businesses going and the economy going. And I think we don't spend enough time on that. And I believe of that 80 million people, let's say 25 million people of that, it was their first time working remotely. And so that's a big, big shift. And they did it at the same time their children weren't in school, and I mean, it was crazy. So, again, kudos to everybody who made that shift. I think where we need to go now is a couple things. One, we can't just talk about remote work because not everybody's job is going to be supported by remote work. And not everybody ultimately forever wants to remote work.
Sure.
I think ultimately where we're going to go is a hybrid remote and on-site model once it's obviously safe and healthy to do that. But there are ways that we can keep people safe and healthy whose jobs don't allow remote work. It can be through staggered schedules. It can be through redesigning workspaces. And again, I think it has to be a holistic, flexible, strategic approach to the way we work. So I'm optimistic that something that was probably very overwhelming and difficult initially will ultimately lead us to a place where we are really going to be open to and thoughtful about the possibilities about the way we can work. So I'm hoping that we get there.
Yeah, I noticed in one of your articles you said, we need to focus on doing it better and smarter rather than kind of waiting and hoping that things are going to go back to the way they were before. I mean, I'm of the camp of I don't see us going back ever to the way that it was. Like, we are in a new game here. And at my company, we've been remote for over 12 years, the whole team. And because of that, we did not have to lay anyone off. It was not the biggest change for us was having kids home and trying to work. And your daughter, everybody was really chipping in to be helpful to getting that done. So,
I just, again, I think the organizations that were already had flexibility in the way work is done as part of their cultural DNA were able to make that pivot. And that really is a very powerful operational resilience, business continuity strategy reason to do the work, to think about how people can work differently and put all the pieces in place. You know this, Emily, and I know this because I've had the pleasure of being supported by the people who work for your organization. The robust technology is in place and robust systems are in place and people know how to communicate. They know how to coordinate. They're very thoughtful about what they're trying to get done and when they're doing it. And So all of those are skills and tools that have to be put in place, and that's it. There's an investment in that. And so again, I think what we've seen in terms of the power of being flexible, I think is showing leaders that it's worth it to make that investment and give people the skills and tools they need, put that infrastructure in place. So that really is the next step and where we need to go.
Yeah, it's interesting, like as an employer, pre-corona, we were getting hundreds of applicants a week, right? Because we're remote, and like that's different. For me as an employer now, it's a real shift, because now my differentiator as an employer really has to be about flex, because remote is like, so what, everybody's doing that now. So let's focus in on flex work. So this is really a key area of your expertise. So what are some of the common flex work traps that you're seeing, or people should be thinking about really rolling out a flex strategy? And maybe what does that mean to you?
Okay, so what it means is, I'm going to give you an example that was in the news recently. So Mark Zuckerberg announced that in 10 years, he predicts 50% of Facebook's employee base will work full-time remote.
That's a long way off.
That's fine. Okay, but that is just like the myopic focus on one type of flexibility. And we're talking a lot about remote work right now, which I think is fine. It's just that's not going to work in every situation for every person, and it may not be exactly how your organization is going to be able to operate, nor how your people are going to want to operate completely forever. And so it's just remote work, it's like, okay, that is a piece, but really it's about, what are you trying to do? Like, what are we trying to do, and how, when, and where do you do it best? And creating a culture where that question can be answered by different people with different businesses and different jobs as realities change, so that you're recalibrating what that combination looks like for your organization in these different types of jobs and businesses, right? So the one trap is you just myopically focus on that without seeing the bigger picture. Then you make all or nothing decisions. And so I would say Mark Zuckerberg's announcement that everybody's working, 50% of the employee base is working 100% remote in 10 years. Okay, that's a pretty extreme example. Where, again, you want to be able to say, okay, so again, what is our business trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish? And another example would be where I'm hearing now, okay, CFOs are saying we're getting rid of all of our real estate. Okay, well, hold on. Okay, like maybe you need to just redesign your workspace, and you need to think about what are the tasks that maybe could be done better in that physical space, but then allow remote work to happen when people don't necessarily need to be physically together, and allow people to stagger their times if that's more convenient and people are more effective that way. So again, it's sort of avoiding that kind of myopic all or nothing thinking around a particular type of execution of flexible work. And then finally, the other trap is just the random implementation. There's this random, like, okay, so, and I would say what happened with COVID is pretty random. Okay, and again, people muddled through it, they learned a lot, but now if I'm an organization, I'm going to want to take some time to step back and say, whoa, where are we? Because the company we were when we went into this crisis is not the company we are coming out of it. And I need to know how my people are working, what worked, what didn't, how are they using technology, how they're coordinating with each other, how they're delivering our services, what are our customers saying? Like, that's kind of what you want to start with. And then you want to go back and do a thoughtful reimagining of work, and making sure you have the right infrastructure in place, and making sure people have the skills and tools, and really coming up with a thoughtful approach to how you're going to keep that going, because you're never done. You're always going to be improving. You're always going to be recalibrating. I know with you guys, I love it. Your team is always saying, well, let's try this. And I'm like, great. We can always do it better. So that's really the mindset we have to get into. And you really have to avoid those traps to get there.
Yeah. So how would you describe flex work? Because I think that this concept is pretty new to everyone. I mean, they're really just wrapping their head around remote. But what does flex work mean to you?
My definition is flexibility or strategic work flexibility, and I usually call it high performance flexibility, but I think in this moment in time, I just want to make it about staying operational. We can get to high performance, but strategic work flexibility is when managers, teams, and individuals are leveraging technology, workspaces on and off site, and work flexibility. So flexibility, remote, time flexibility, teaming, flexibility in pace and process. They're leveraging those all in a coordinated way to get their jobs done and manage their lives and run their business in a strategic, coordinated, intentional way. So it's really that they're answering that question, what do we need to get done, and how, when, and where do we do it best?
Yeah.
So that's the definition to me. So,
yeah, for us, it's about, doing what you say, meeting the basic parameters of the job. So for example, when we're working with clients, we're saying, all right, you have to touch in with clients 3 times across the day.
Yep.
How and when you do that, we're going to give you the construct, but you're kind of setting the pace. So you need to go to the grocery store, whatever you need to do. Like, you're not getting dinged for that. So to me, like, as someone that's been in the space like you, what I'm seeing is flex work is really the opportunity for us to evolve as employers, figuring out ways that people can mesh work and life together in a way that makes sense for what they're trying to do is what's going to differentiate you as an employer in this new economy. So
I agree. And again, that's a great example of flexibility and pace, right? And I think we don't think about that. When you just run remote work, you don't realize it's very multifaceted. And it really is about how you give people the ability to leverage that in a way that's going to help them be their most effective and do their jobs. And you and I both know this. You do that, they give you like a way more. I mean, people are so productive and engaged when they have that control. And so I think there's still a little bit of a fear that, if I let it all go, nothing's going to get done. It's quite the opposite. And in fact, that's one of the things I think I'm most hopeful of to come out of this COVID crisis is that leaders are going to be, and I've heard it, like completely blown away by what people have been able to accomplish in a very difficult circumstance.
Totally. Well, I'm so proud to have you here. Like, we are both such champions for this, and it's so wonderful to see it coming together. And all the work that you're doing to create exposure about it has been extraordinary to watch. I know you're so busy right now with all the different media things you're doing.
But again, I have to say, my delegate team has just been so helpful to all of it. I could not do any of it without them. We have had kind of a crazy few weeks, and I'm happy to do it. It's wonderful to have the opportunity to support people as they kind of get their heads around what's going on and then begin to shift to possibility, which is really rewarding. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah, it's been really cool to watch all the stuff that's happening with you. So congrats.
Thank you.
Is there anything
Emily,
you're working on currently that we should know about and we can help you share?
Well, we just wrapped up the 6 weeks to Flexible Work and Life Success webinar series that we did. This was our way to just give back and support people and give them information to help them sort of get out of that deep end and put some control and strategy around what they were experiencing. So you can find that on our website, which is Flex+Strategy Group /COVID-19.
Okay.
And sign up for our newsletter. I'm always publishing things, always sharing information to try to help people reimagine how and where they can work and manage their lives.
And I'm sure if you turn on TV, you're going to see Cali there somewhere too, or in the paper.
Well, again, just getting the word out.
And the URL is Flex+StrategyGroup.com if you'd like to learn more about Cali and the great work that she's doing. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, Emily, thank you, and continue doing all the good work you're doing.
Likewise. Take care.
Bye-bye.